With that, a very, very warm welcome to the October session of the Spencer 2022 webinar series. What is the Spencer Educational Foundation? We are a nonprofit organization that is founded in 1979, and we're dedicated to supporting students who wish to pursue careers within this industry, risk management, insurance, actuarial science. And we do so through various programs, including scholarships, internship grants, general grants to universities and other nonprofit organizations, curriculum development at universities, and other experiential learning opportunities. We do have some wonderful guest speakers with us here today from Markel, and it is my pleasure to introduce them. First up, we have Consuelo Atkins-Tyler. Investing in people and helping them grow towards their purpose and potential has always been a sweet spot for Consuelo. This naturally led her to talent development as a career field. Over the past 2 decades, her work experience has included facilitation, coaching, leader development, team effectiveness, instructional design, and a 15-year focus on diversity and inclusion. Consuelo earned a bachelor's in sociology from the University of Virginia, a master's in professional counseling from Liberty University, and she's a registered corporate coach. Her current role is in diversity and inclusion. She's the D&I manager at Markel, and she serves as a member of the Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities Richmond chapter. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And we also have Lily with us here today, a second Lily, who is a Spencer Scholar. Lily Van Elderen recently graduated from the University of Mississippi with majors in risk management and insurance, banking, finance, and Mandarin Chinese. How impressive. Following graduation, she started in Markel's Specialty Underwriter Trainee Program and joined the Markel Programs team, assisting with the triaging, due diligence, and onboarding of new programs. So thank you both so much for being here today, and I will turn it over to you too.
Thank you so much, Tandeka, and it's great to meet all of you virtually. I'm excited to share with you today. So what we will be looking at today is a topic called personal branding, and I'm not sure if some of you maybe have done something similar to this before, but our goal today is to define what a personal brand is and why it's important. We'll also take an opportunity to explore the brands of both some companies and some individuals. And we also want you to take a moment to be able to reflect on your personal brand. And we'll do that by providing you with some tips to best prepare you for success. And we're also going to share some practical ways to promote and to protect your personal brand. So this is going to be an interactive session, as Tandeka mentioned, and I will be asking you to use the chat through quite a bit of this. So we're going to kick it right on off. And actually, the group is pretty small, so you can also come off of mute to answer some of these questions too if you can't get to chat fast enough. But my first question to you with chat is, what is a personal brand? So when you think of a personal brand, what do you think of? What is it?
So I'll jump in. I think of how people perceive you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. How people perceive you.
I think also how you interact with others.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So with that said, Grace, it's you know, Tandeka mentioned it's how other people perceive you, but it's also how you want to put yourself out there, right? So it's how you want to be seen. So it's a mix of the both. And we have to balance the two between, you know, is what I'm putting out there what I want people to take away. So an official definition is a brand is an impression of a company. If everyone could mute themselves, just make sure you're muted. That'd be great. Awesome. Yeah. A brand is an impression of a company, product, or person that is informed by experience or perception. So it is definitely related very closely to other people's perception of you. So while we can't totally control that, we can control our actions to put out there what we think would be the perception we want out there.
Yeah, and there's a few responses in the chat as well. So Katie said it's someone's story. Lily M said something that separates and distinguishes you. And Rebecca said the image you build for yourself out there.
Definitely agree with that. And hold on to those, because I like that piece about, it being someone's story and also being what's distinguishing you from others, and the image you put for yourself out there, which is a great segue into this next slide of advertising is what you say about yourself. Branding is what other people say about you. So when you think about your personal brand, it reflects how you present yourself both verbally and non-verbally. So again, going back to that perception piece and that image, it's about how you engage with others, which you've all mentioned. And that can be also seen through the quality of your work. And all of those things will give an overall impression that you'll leave behind for others to see. So the important thing to note when you're thinking about your brand is it's not just the fact that you're trying to put information out there. You want to be intentional about it, because if you're not branding yourself, you can be assured that others are doing it for you. So there's always going to be someone watching, whether you're paying attention or not. So it's very important for you to be intentional. So here's a scenario to make it make sense. Let's say you go to a cafe or a fast food restaurant like Starbucks or wherever, and you got really, really poor service from a staff member. Have you ever come home and shared that story at the dinner table, or maybe I am the friend to share how awful it was? Anyone?
Definitely.
I see some head nods. Yes, yes, yes. So when you do that, you're branding a company, even though it's just based on the individual or maybe a few individuals, the whole company has a brand as a result of that. And I would add to that, let's say the person you had the bad experience with had a really bad day. Let's say they just found out, that they lost a pet or something. We don't know those things, right? So the important piece is that even when life happens, when you're in different environments, it's still important to think about, okay, what do I want to put out there? And even if something like that, were to happen, it's okay sometimes to say, hey, I'm having a bad day, but we'll talk more about that later. I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself. So make sure that you're being intentional about your brand, and don't underestimate the power of personal branding. So when you think about your personal brand, why is it important to be intentional? What are your thoughts?
For me, it's always being your authentic self, and it's just how you represent yourself.
Yes, Mimi, it's about being authentic and how you represent yourself. Any others?
I was gonna mention you don't want to be ambiguous, like someone who's wishy-washy, but you want to have like a concrete sense of self.
Very important, Malcolm, that we want to be consistent. And so I'm going to merge what both you and Mimi just said. Being intentional sends a consistent message about who you are and what you have to offer. So that is the consistency, that's being your authentic self. It also helps to develop your passions, your personality, and your values in the business world. And it helps you to develop your strengths and skills as well. So when you're being intentional about your brand, it communicates what makes you significant. Going back to what we said earlier about what makes you unique. And it captures why you're special. So it promotes and it acknowledges what you've done and gives you recognition for your work ethic and your positive qualities as well. All right, so here's the fun part. How would others describe you? I won't ask you to say this out loud, but I want you to think about that. Take about 30 seconds and think about, okay, how would my family describe me? How would my roommate describe me? How might my professors describe me? And if you've had some work experience, how might the people that I've worked with describe me? So hopefully you're starting to get some answers in your head. And it's okay. It's okay if you don't deem your answer to be the most positive. Some of you probably have some very positive things to say. And some might, depending on the groups that I mentioned, might be not so positive, but we're going to talk about that. So before we jump more into you, though, we're going to talk about some corporate brands. So here is a slide that shows some corporate brands that you might know. So I want you to tell me what stands out to you, and when you see some of these brands or some of these logos, what's the first thing that comes to your mind about these companies?
High quality customer service, especially Chick-fil-A.
Okay, so Chick-fil-A, we think about high quality customer service. Think about someone saying my pleasure, right? What else? And I want to hear the good and the bad.
I can give you a good one and a bad one. So with
Okay.
Nike, that one popped out to me because you get a real emotion with that because they show all the athletes and like champions and all those achievements. So you feel, positive. And then I guess a somewhat negative one would be Domino's. Like before they did their rebranding, Domino's was never never good until really recently to me.
Yes, Malcolm. I feel bad to say this, but yeah, I was once told that Domino's tasted like cardboard. But you're right. Those are the types of things that stick out. What else? Anyone else? Anything else stick out?
I think a lot of the companies like Google, TikTok, Facebook, they're very user oriented. So I think they know how to like make their algorithm a certain way. So their users are kind of obsessed. I know that's kind of like a social media craze going on right now.
Yeah. So I'm going to add a little bit to what you said, Grace, because what I heard was technology, right? I specifically look at these brands and I think about their technology and how they innovate and the algorithms that they use, right? So some of those algorithms we've heard good things and some we've heard not so good things, right?
And I think
I don't know.
Matthew, yep, go ahead. Yep.
I don't know if this counts as a bad thing, but my first thought was seeing just Chick-fil-A, Domino's, Starbucks. I was like, food. I'm hungry. I am.
That's right. It's time to eat. That's why when you're on the highway driving, they show you the logos because it's time to eat.
Yeah, I think about values as well. Like Chick-fil-A stands out to me with them being closed on Sundays, right? Even though they could make so much more money if they, had their stores open on Sundays, they choose to have them closed. So I just think about values.
Yes. And that's important because those values do drive a company's brand. All right, so we've had an opportunity to look at some companies. Now let's look at some individuals that you may know of, is what I will say. You might know some of them personally, but you might not. So what do you think of when you see these individuals? Who stands out and why? Or what are their brands?
I would say about all of them, like Oprah, AOC, Ariana. I think they all definitely have a brand, which I feel like is important. They are kind of opposite of like the go with the flow mantra. I think they all have things that like represent them and things that they stand by, which I feel like is really important.
Yes, definitely. And I see Katie said popular. I'm sorry, for the previous one, Katie said popular and well-rooted establishments. And for the current one, Lily said people associated with some of the brands, like the spokesperson or the CEO. Do we see any CEOs here or spokespersons?
Mark Zuckerberg's there, CEO of
Yep.
Facebook.
Mark Zuckerberg is there. And I should have asked, does anyone not know anyone that are on these pictures? Because I have to admit that when Mary Allen and I first started looking at this and putting these together, we had to ask folks who some of these individuals were.
I
know maybe two of them.
I don't know the girl with the blonde hair.
That is
right?
Doja Cat, right?
Okay, well I know who that is, but I didn't.
I had to ask. I didn't know who she was at first either. So yeah, when you think about individuals, you think about different brands, and different things might pop into mind. You know, with Oprah, you might think of just some of the work that she's done and the foundations that she's laid. With AOC, you might think of some of the things that she's brought with her platform. You know, just so many different individuals here that you might call out some things. And going back to Tendeka's statement earlier about values, you know, depending on what you value, then those things could be good or bad, depending on your own personal values. All right. So now let's think about what might make a strong brand for you personally. So on the left here are some words that represent what we would consider might make a strong brand. And where we got these terms from, we actually used to offer this class at Markel regularly. And we would ask this question, and we didn't have these terms, but we would ask, what makes a strong brand? And these were the ones that came up most. So we decided to incorporate those into this presentation. So when you think about a strong brand, it's important to think about what are the things that I want to be known for. And if we were to look at this, we could actually use this sheet as a worksheet and think about what are some of the things that I think I already bring to the table. So as you think about, you know, earlier I gave you an opportunity to think about what people might say about you. Now I want you to look at this list on the left, and I want you to think about, you know, what do I bring to the table? What are some things that I bring to the table? And if I were thinking about myself, one of the things that I might say is that I consider myself to be very flexible. I'm able to go with the flow. I'm able to pivot when necessary. And I think that that can be important depending on the line of work that you're in. And I also want to think about, you know, what are some things that actions or behaviors that I would like to add to my brand, right? So on the right are some words that can contribute to a strong brand, but what might I want to do to continue to be able to be flexible and to continue to add to that brand? So one of the things I think of that I think is very important and I want to be seen for, but I know can be a stretch for me sometimes, is being open-minded. So while I consider myself very open-minded, as you all know, sometimes we definitely get stuck in our ways at times, or, you know, we have a certain plan in mind. It's sometimes hard to let go of that plan, especially when we worked hard for it. So I know that even though I consider myself open-minded, it's something that I have to work at in order to continue to have that strong brand, today, to have that strong brand and to be flexible. All right. The other thing that I want you to consider are some things that might lead to a poor brand. And here are some words, again, on the left that could lead to that. And so what I want you to do with this list on the left is to think about, you know, might I be perceived in any of these ways? Possibly. Or are there some things that I don't necessarily see in myself, but I want to make sure that I avoid, right? So you could pick any of these. And as you think about what those words are, again, on the right, what might I do to overcome that? So if I pick something on the left, what might I do to overcome that? So let's say that I might be seen as over-delegating. Maybe I over-delegate. So on the right, you know, what can I avoid doing? What are the things that I can avoid doing so that I'm not seen as someone who over-delegates?
Maybe blaming others.
Yep. Definitely blaming others could be something that I definitely want to avoid so that I don't over-delegate. Blaming others, making excuses, that there might be a few different things here that you could consider, but it's up to you. The key thing that I want you to take away from both of these slides is it's up to you to do some self-evaluation and to think about, you know, what are those things that I want to put out there? And then, you know, what are those things I do well? And what are those things that I would like to work on? So those will be important for you. Something very simple that you can do, and I think all of you probably already know this, but watch what you post, right? So in order to have a strong brand, it's important to think about what you're putting out there and what you're doing across different media platforms. So for your personal pages, please know that there are companies that will review your social media pages when you apply for a position, and they're looking to see that. I can't, I won't debate whether it's right or wrong, but just know that it does happen. So with that said, you'll want to be mindful about your thoughts and your comments. And to that, I would add not just what you post, but what you comment on, because people can still read. Anybody like me that it's like when you see something controversial, first thing I do is go to the comments because I want to know what everybody else said. Is it just me? So, but that could also lead to a negative brand when individuals see that, you commented, or that maybe you liked it or disliked it, right? So be careful about that. So Malcolm asked the question, what's the best way to properly view our personal brands to avoid? Malcolm, tell me more about that question.
Yes, because we can ask, our friends how they feel about us, our family how they feel about us, but kind of to get away from that bias to see how, for example, like our mentor view us, or like how businesses view us, to get away from the, rose-colored glasses, to see how we really are instead of just like how we think we are.
Yep. So a couple things you can do. First and foremost, what I would recommend is for those individuals you go to, I think it's always important to get feedback from people you trust. And those people don't have to be in your close circle. It could just be someone you respect, but to ask for that, to give them permission to give you honest feedback. But don't just ask them how they feel about you. Ask them to give you specific examples. So give me an example of a time when XYZ, right? I would also add to that to invite people into your circle who do not look like you and get feedback from them. So that can be very powerful when they don't look like you. And what that means is that could mean a lot of things, right? But when I think about it from a business stance, think about people who you respect and you might want to work your way to their position. If you're leading people, maybe some of you are leading different organizations and things like that, ask the people that you lead as well. All of those things are important to get that feedback, and be open to the feedback. And I think all of those things will help to combat the bias. That was a great question. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Consuelo, on that question, did we mention professors as well to provide feedback?
Yes, that's a great, definitely going to your professors to provide that feedback as well. Yeah, professors, companies you've worked for as well. Yep. Great call out, Mary Ellen. All right, so yes, be mindful about your thoughts and your comments. Think carefully about what you post as far as your photos. I have not that I do anything crazy. I don't want y'all to think I'm wild and crazy, but I have it set so that before you can tag me in a photo, I have to approve it. Because I just have so many different circles. And when someone's taking a picture of you as in a snapshot in time, it could be interpreted to mean so many things, right? So I want to make sure that I approve those photos before they're posted. And then that last bullet of being consistent across all social media platforms. So you might have different personas across, I might be one way on Facebook, another way on LinkedIn, another way on Snapchat. Be Real, I'm just learning about Be Real. I don't know if anybody's on that. Still trying to understand all that. But make sure that you are consistent across those things as well. What questions do you have so far?
Matthew has his hand up. Matthew has a question.
Yep. So with companies reviewing your social media pages like Instagram, is it when they're public, or are they still trying to review them when they're private pages? Would you recommend like having your pages be private so that only a select few can see, but still being mindful?
Yes, I definitely recommend privacy features, not just because of companies, but because cybersecurity is real. So, people can take snapshots of your pictures as well. So to that point, Matthew, I recommend the privacy. And I also recommend remembering who's in your friend circle, right? Because you might forget some folks are following you, and they can always do a screenshot. So again, be mindful what you put out there, even when your page is private. These are some great questions. I love this interaction. So as we wrap up reflecting on your personal brand, I do want to challenge you to take some time to really, really reflect on this topic and to create an action plan for yourself. And that action plan can be as simple as doing something like what we call a start, stop, continue exercise, but this is more of a start and stop. So think about, what are the things that I need to start doing to ensure that my brand is strong and consistent? And are there some things that I might want to consider not doing that I'm already doing that that might not necessarily be consistent? And I would add a third. Are there some things that I'm already doing that I can build upon that I want to make even stronger? So remember that your brand should showcase your passions, your values, your beliefs. Tandeka mentioned that earlier. It should also tie into your motivation and your goals. So remember, your brand is what makes you remarkable and unique, and it becomes what you're known for. So make sure that you have an action plan. That's what helps you to be intentional. And then once you have that action plan in place, make sure you build it, you promote it, and you constantly evaluate it. Back to Malcolm's question earlier, asking for feedback so that you can continue to improve it. So you'll have to revisit that plan. I would revisit it as often as needed. You could do it monthly, you could do it quarterly, you could do it annually, but think about, how do I revisit this and how is my brand going? And does my brand need to change? Because there might be some times when you might need to shift some things, right? All right, so that is everything in a nutshell on the personal brand. And now I want to jump a little bit into Markel's brand. So we have talked about company brands as a whole, but I want to dig a little bit in to tell you a little bit more about Markel. But before I do that, were there any other thoughts or questions you had on the personal branding?
Yep, it looks like Grace has a question and Malcolm has a question.
Okay, Grace.
My question was just about how do you balance like your personal interest with, I guess, your professional ones when you're kind of presenting your brand. So say you like are in a band or something, or you love creating movies and things like that. Do you have like a good method for kind of letting the company know that it's like a part of you, but still focusing on the professional aspects of what you would bring to the company like day to day?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And Mary Allen, feel free to chime in. I'll throw in my first thoughts because I am the mother of a 23-year-old creative son who is a drummer and a producer, and his major was film. So that's his brand. That's what he wants to be known for. But right now, of course, while he's trying to make money in the music field, he's working at Topgolf, and he's a bay host and he's a trainer there. So all those things, though, go into his brand because he's able to communicate, he's creative, he's innovative, right? So you definitely want to be able to bring your authentic self to the table and share those pieces of you. So I would say don't hide it, be open about it, and think about how you can bring that to the table, because a lot of that goes into the innovation we're looking for in the business world. Mary Ellen, I'll let you jump in.
I would say, as a hiring manager, it always interests me what students are interested in beyond. It's all appropriate to put it on your resume. It's always appropriate to bring it up in an interview. And I just think it helps the hiring manager know more about you as a well-rounded person because, when you bring your whole self to work, it's not just your professional stuff. It's also what you're interested in that shapes you and informs how you approach your work. So definitely include it.
Thank you.
Yeah, companies want to know you're human. Great question. And Malcolm, you had a question as well?
Yes, ma'am. So my question with the personal branding, kind of more directed towards you and both of our speakers today. And so what are some things that changed in your personal brand throughout life? And what characteristics do you wish you had implemented sooner that we can start today?
Yes, that's a really, really good question. I wish I had gotten that one beforehand. That could be loaded, but I can give you a few things. So earlier in life, I was very outspoken, which is not a bad thing. It was a good thing, but I didn't put a good wrapper around it. It wasn't very polished. So some of the things that came out were very passionate, but they could have been seen as argumentative as well. So I had to tone it down just a little bit. I probably went too far to the other extreme is what I would say with that, because I think there is a balance with bringing that passion to the table, but making sure that you're tactful in the way that you say it. So I think that's one of the things I have definitely grown into in my self-exploration. And I would also add just being happy and with who I am and what I bring to the table. I think there was probably a point where earlier in my career, there was a lot of comparison, comparing myself to other people in many ways in my career and my personal life. And just getting to a point with, I'm just me. I'm me, and these are the things that I bring to the table, and these are the things I'm going to leverage. So I started to leverage the things that make me me. I'm a great listener. I'm easy to talk to. People come to me because I'm easy to talk to. So when I think about that listening piece and switching over to business, it's like problem solving is all about listening. If you listen first rather than going into solution, then that's going to take you a long way, because then you can actually solution before you come up with a solution, and you can come up with an effective. I'll say, Mary Allen, anything that you would add?
Yeah, I think over the years, as I've grown wiser, I've learned to listen more, and I don't feel the need to speak just for the sake of speaking. I think that often informs your brand as to whether or not you say something just to say something, or whether you really assess the situation, say, does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Or should I just listen? And that takes patience.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Great. All right, so I'll jump into the Markel piece, and then I want to give Lily some time just to share some great things that she has to share about her experience. So what is Markel's brand? So prior to today's call, how many of you had heard of Markel? Just if you can raise your hand on your screen or with your emojis. Okay, all right, good. So that's good. We getting the name out there. I love it. All right, so a little bit more on Markel. We have 214 words that describe our corporate DNA. So remember, we talked about the company's values. This is basically our culture and our values, and we call this the Markel Style. It was written back in 1986, and we consider it a timeless document because it captures our principles and our values. It's our corporate compass, and it directs all of our decision-making and how we operate our business and how we treat one another. So I won't read the style to you, but I will just make it known that the style does inspire us, and it challenges us to be honest and fair in all of our dealings, to share our success with others, to honor our commitment to our communities, and to empower our people to reach their full potential. So it's all about being your authentic self, and that's our Markel brand. Currently, Markel, as you can see, we're headquartered in Richmond, Virginia. That's where I'm located, is in Richmond. We have 61 insurance offices in 16 different countries. We have a total of 20,300 employees, and that's across our insurance and our ventures operations. And so 4,700 of those employees are employed within the insurance operations. And then the other 15,600 are within our Markel Ventures operations. Something we're very, very proud of at the very top is that we are listed as number 289 on the 2022 Fortune 500. And as of June 30th of 2022, we have 48 billion in total assets. And here is a snapshot of different places that we are located in the world. So you can see we have a presence in Asia Pacific, in Bermuda, in Canada, Europe, the United Kingdom, and the US. And as far as what we do, you all know that we are an insurance company. We are a specialty insurance company. So we specialize, we do casualty insurance and commercial property. We do a variety of different things. So as you know, insurance companies sell insurance and they provide us financial support when things go wrong. And we consider ourselves as able to provide that peace of mind and security, that if something catastrophic happens, we'll be there to support individuals and businesses through the recovery process. So lots of different things, different areas of business that we have. And we also have different types of jobs available in the insurance industry. So I heard a lot of you say that you were risk management majors. If you are majoring in something a little bit different, we also have spaces in places like cybersecurity, IT, marketing and communications, human resources, accounting and finance, corporate strategy. So there's a variety of different jobs available in our industry as well. I'm now going to turn this over to Lily Van Elderen, who is one of our newest employees, and she's currently an underwriter trainee at Markel, and she's going to share a little bit about her experience with both Markel and Spencer.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, thanks for letting me join today. So I'm going to share a little bit, I guess, about my experience with Spencer and college and basically how I got here to Markel. So I'm going to start off with when I was in college. So right away, first week, freshman year, I actually by chance happened to meet the RMI professors on campus. At that time, I didn't really know what insurance was, but really they just, took me under their wing, and I got involved right away, joined the GIS, and along with, attended the career fairs, the conferences, just any of the events that the business school hosted throughout that year. And then just made a lot of connections with my classmates and my professors, who I still kept in touch with, even after some of them graduated, which was really great. As in, like with the professors, I was able to, get recommendation letters, get a lot of guidance while I was looking for jobs, internships. Same thing with my classmates. And the thing is, for classmates, some of them I actually work with today, at Markel, and some of them are actually went over on the broker side. So, I mean, everyone talks about, networking being the key and how small the industry is. And I mean, I'm only a few months in, and I've really already experienced that as well. And I want to emphasize the importance of, like the internships. I think that's really what, helped me to get to where I am today. So actually, my interviewer, I ended up doing a different internship last summer, not at Markel, but my interviewer for that internship is actually my current boss today. So it was really just, keeping in touch. And I know someone earlier had asked about, talking about personal interest along with, the professional, that balance. And in my interview, I, had brought up some of my interests outside of my professional interests. And, that really helped, to be personable within your interview. And actually just happened. So I had a lot in common with my boss and a few of my other coworkers on my team. So that really helped, set apart. And then also throughout college, and actually even now as I've started my career, I have several mentors that I still keep in touch with, and including my Spencer mentor. And that's really, my Spencer mentor, just met her last year, but really great connection, and talk with her actually pretty regularly. And then still with a few of my other mentors throughout college as well. So it's really nice to have them as a resource. I want to share a little bit about, since joining Markel, I started out in the underwriter trainee program, which is, it's about a 3-month program right now. I just finished it a couple of weeks ago, and it's where many of the, I believe there was 30, many of the new hires were all recent college grads. So we're all about the same age, and it's intensive, learning, training within your product line. I'm in the programs team, so which is, actually, we do all lines of business, both admitted and not. So, but many of the other trainees all had a specific line, they were in the excess casualty, ocean marine. And what you do is you do a lot of hands-on training a lots of exposure to the senior leaders within your product line and the leaders of the corporation as well. So just overall a great experience, really glad that I was a part of it. And then outside of all my training, as I started my career recently, since so I did move up here to the Richmond office, had never really been to Richmond before. So to get out and to meet people, because the networking doesn't stop once you start a new job. I joined Markel has a lot of these ERGs, employee resource groups, such as MAP, Markel Asian Professionals Group. There's Jitneys, which is geared towards more of the younger new hires or younger employees, and then as well as the Markel Women's Network. However, there are several other groups as well. Just attending a lot of those and attending other industry networking events in the area as well has really helped me to stay connected with the industry, meet other people. Overall, just it's been a great few months. So does anyone have any questions?
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Lily. Malcolm, yes, please. If you guys have questions, go for it.
Yes. This might be somewhat of a personal question. I believe you kind of elaborated on it or mentioned it for a little bit, but I wanted to see if you could elaborate more. Kind of looking at what habits helped you to make that transition from school to work, and not just like the knowledge, but also like just lifestyle. Was it the ERGs you were mentioning? Was it your mentors? Was it the internships? What really helps you personally like make that transition?
What's really helped me the most with the transition from the college life to the work life is I just like, I love, working at Markel. And when at first, when I was looking at job opportunities, I wasn't really, sure, because I was like, I wanted to find somewhere, that fit. And earlier they had mentioned the Markel Style, and that's something that I just really love. And the thing is, a lot of companies, they have their like mottos, their sayings, or anything like that. But what I love about Markel is that we truly live the Markel Style, every single day. I know in a lot of meetings with my bosses or like with, other leaders at the company, a lot of them will start out with the Markel Style. And it's just, having like the support as well from my manager has been great. Just going over things with me, checking in on me, making sure I'm okay. So that has been the best for me in finding, that transition from college to now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And what exactly is I'm not sure if I should know, but the Markel Style?
So that goes back to earlier. I think there it is. So it's our
yes. Okay.
So corporate DNA, it's kind of just, I guess like sort of a motto. I guess it's 214 words, but it's like we live and breathe the Markel Style.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I would add to that. Our style is our culture. It's what we value. It's what we believe. It's how we behave.
Yeah, and Grace has a question as well. Go for it, Grace.
Hi, Lily. I just want to say thanks so much for speaking. You did such a great job. I just wanted to ask, how did you narrow it down to what company you wanted to work at? Because I feel like entering the work world from graduation can kind of be overwhelming because you have so many great options. So do you have any advice for kind of solidifying where you want to be after you graduate?
Yes. Yeah. So I actually, like I said, I was like really stressed out. I was like, oh, trying to find, the best fit. And what came down to was I got to meet my manager, my team lead, and I just felt, the most comfortable. And then, like I had mentioned, I had never actually been up here to the Richmond area. So I relocated. I went to college down in Mississippi, came up to Richmond for a visit, absolutely loved the area, and then met my team. And it was just like where I felt the most comfortable is where I ended up today. So yeah, great question.
Really good questions. And I think that's a good segue to this next section that Mary Ellen and I will share with you. because we do have some opportunities available for you, and we want you to check out our website to see what is available. So we have a site on our webpage that's totally dedicated to what we call early careers. So those would be recent college graduates, as well as those that are in school and looking for internships. So when you go to that page, it's on markel.com. You'll see some of our college internships that are available. The underwriter trainee program that Lily mentioned, you can apply for that through the site as well. And there are lots of full-time jobs available in several different departments within insurance and also in some other areas. So definitely would love for you to take a time to look at that. And I'm going to turn this over to Mary Ellen now to talk a little bit more about our college internship program.
Thanks, Consuelo. The internship program is one of my favorite things at Markel. I've been at Markel for 23 years, and the first 19 of those years I was in accounting, and then I got this great opportunity to switch over to leading our internship program, and I think it's the highlight of my career here at Markel. But just to give you some highlights of the program, it is a paid internship. We typically start the program depending on when students get out of school for the summer, typically mid-May to mid-August. And the primary objective of the program is to give students real work to do. So it's the same work that any entry-level employee would be given. We also assign an intern research project so that interns can work together in small groups to do something kind of outside their day-to-day responsibilities in terms of research. We also put together social activities and volunteer activities. We believe very strongly in giving back to our community, so we love to have our interns experience that for themselves. We also arrange a lunch with each intern in a small group of 4 or 5 other interns with our top level executives. And it's a very informal lunch. You can ask the executive whatever you want to ask them. And it's always a highlight for the interns to really understand how these very successful people have come from, their early careers to now being executives of a Fortune 500 company. And then there's also opportunities to connect with interns across the United States and Bermuda. And is there another bullet? I'm hidden behind the screen. No, that's the other bullet.
No, that's it.
So it's a great program, and we're very, very proud of it. And we've definitely had students from St. John's as interns. We've had students from ODU as interns, and there may have been some other schools mentioned that I didn't catch. And I did hear also that there are a couple of students in the actuarial sciences. I think we'll have 2 open positions for interns in our actuarial department this summer. So we'll be hosting at least 40 interns, and they will be represented kind of across the country in almost all of the departments throughout Markel. So it's a lot of opportunity, and I think a great way for you all to prepare to transition from college life to work life. You get just a little taste of what it's like to work in an office and to see what that really feels like. I'd love to hear some questions from you all. We're recruiting right now for all of our internships, so please ask me any question that you might have.
Yes, I have a question in regards to the application process. May I please ask if there's an essay portion, or how does the application process go?
There is, in fact, an essay portion, and it may not surprise you to know that essay is about the Markel Style. And what does it mean to you? How have you maybe exemplified some of those same characteristics? And then you just submit that with your application, and we have the website where you can apply directly online.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
It's my pleasure.
Nice. And it's great that we talked about it here today. We talked about the Markel Style, so you guys already have a leg up on that application form. Awesome. So we have just a couple minutes left of this session. Any other questions out there before we wrap up the session? Yes,
yeah,
please.
hello.
Hi, Rebecca. Go for it.
Yes. Hi. So about the internship, I wanted to find out if the company sponsors visa for international students.
We aren't currently, but if you want to send me an email, I can give you some more information about that. And I'll provide that email address in an email back to you all.
All right, thank you.
Good question. And Mimi, I think I saw a hand. Did you have a question?
Yes, I actually have a question for Lily, and it's a really deep question that I really want to know. May I please ask, what you were only in college a couple of months ago, and if you were to change anything for like past mistakes or anything that you have regretted, would you ever change any of that, or did that make you a stronger person and get you the Markel job right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually, I was very involved in college, like I had mentioned earlier, with the GIS, went to a lot of the conferences, the career fairs. I was actually went to the career fairs like right away my freshman year and went to all throughout college, whether or not I was actually looking for a job or an internship, because I actually probably more use them as networking opportunities. And I think it's just really, just being involved. And I got to know my professors, the classmates and the mentors and all of that. And just all of that, just kind of built up and just really helped me for when I was looking for a job, and really helped, get my foot in the door, and to where I am here at Markel today.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no problem.
I wanted to note really quickly that we do have QR codes on the screen. If you want to follow us on social media, that's great. We post quite frequently, but that will help you to stay in the know with what we're up to. And then the link to our early career site is also included.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Consuelo. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Mary Allen, for being here today with us and telling us more about Markel and the wonderful opportunities that you all have. To the students that are here, so as you know, we do these sessions once a month during the fall and spring semester. It's the second Thursday of every month from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. So our next session is going to be Thursday, November 10th, and the presenting company is going to be Arch. We won't have a session in December since it's the holidays and whatnot. So next month's session in November will be the last for 2022, and then we'll release our schedule for 2023. So thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for hanging out with us for an hour, and we will catch you next month. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one.